interesting how that is also coming back to the semen retention and nofap, and even what we're doing. Like, we're gonna share about stuff, and so much is presented even from tantra or from nofap communities or sexual masters, or like, this is where you go, right? That's their approach. That's so much of the approach is saying like, where you are now is cool, but you could go there, and that is presented with an energy that is better or more than where you are now. And this is even communicate to each other, right? Like, even if you make a course online, you're kind of going on the route to go like, I want to trigger people to think that this will make their life better. Such an interesting energy that doesn't serve us anymore, it feels like.
This is like, wow. This is makes me remember this occasion where I was in this restaurant, and there was a lot of spiritual persons, some people that were practicing tantra sex, and they were talking about it, and one of the women were talking about it, shit like that. And I remember telling that I read this book about like man ejaculation, like for you to have orgasm without ejaculation. It's a really famous book in the community. And I told her, oh, I was reading this book, and well, it was just that, and nothing else. And she turned to me and she was like, well, just reading a book is not enough. Like, with this, like coming from this place. And I was like, but I didn't even say anything else. If I did, if I tried, if I had a partner, where I didn't say anything. But she came right with this, like, I'm doing this because that's what I got, and also that's a bit of my projection. But the way I receive it is like, oh, like, look at where I am doing this. Look where I am doing this tantra sex. And you read a book, good for you, but you're not there yet. You're not in the same level. Like this idea of being better just because of that. Mm-hmm. And when you were talking about this, like, I can feel it, like this trigger that I get from this idea of, because I do this, I'm better. Because you do that, you're worst. Because I'm following this, I'm better. You should do this. No fap, stop fapping. You're watching porn and masturbating. Wow, you're fucking shit, man. Yeah. You're a terrible person. Like, I'm so much better. Like, this idea is like a huge trigger for me. It's like, wow, how can you even say that? Yeah.
Is that a fundamental aspect of our society and even the way we do business? Like, with us trying this out and coming out to well, maybe also make $1 or €1. Like, is that a fundamental thing about our system of our system, to kind of project that if you buy a car at my place, it's going to be better than the other place? What do you guys feel with that?
I feel this is like a strong underlying thing that we have in society, and that comes to almost everything. And this reminds me of the audio message that we received on our group from Matthew, talking about like this need to be smarter or to be right towards their friends, that puts him in this position, and like we don't even notice those things anymore. But it's always like this idea of like, oh, I need to be better. I need to be better than this. I need to be better than that person. I need to be better than myself. Wow, yesterday I was like this, but today I'm better. I'm better than myself yesterday. This is funny.
It's trying to win of your own shadow, right? Like the shadow on the wall. It's like trying to move your shadow on the wall. I can just win from my shadow. I'll feel a little better.
And this is funny because like I clearly see myself saying these things like, oh, 4 years ago I was like this, and now look at me, I'm like that. Like, wow, so much better. It's like, wow, I'm competing against myself, I'm competing against others, I'm competing against everything. And maybe this is all also comes into relationships where I'm competing with my partner. Who is the best partner? Who is the best partner in this relationship? It's me, it's you. And then comes again to the fact that, well, maybe that's okay. You know, maybe competing in the relationship, it's okay because it's natural. I don't know. Why overthink? Why go and overthink about it? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that, but this is also interesting, like to notice that this is happening. But can we actually don't do that? Should we fight against that, or should we just accept that?
I feel there is a reason. I feel there is a reason that we do that. And if we're talking about sex or business or whatever, women or man, or there is a fundamental, and I don't know where that comes from, but I think and I feel there is a fundamental belief that we're not good enough. And it's so deep, like generations deep, like something that is in a cell, you know, or in the DNA almost, like, and it just transfers generation on generation. You have to work hard. You have to get a, you have to get a beautiful woman. You have to get a beautiful man. You have to do this. You have to do this. You're alive, right? You come out of the mother and it's like, do this, do this, do this. And when you ask why, well, you have to. Like, this is not an option. So there's this fundamental energy that's driving us to kind of do all these things. And it must be some kind of belief or trauma, or I don't believe anymore it's the natural state. I don't believe that anymore. Not for us humans.
So my question would be, should you fight against it? In the sense of, okay, I see myself doing things because I think that I'm not good enough, right? And then let's, for example, oh, I'm not good enough, and I feel this, and I feel like I need to do this. And okay, now I'm going to sit, and I'm going to try and get to not go there to that place where I'm not feeling good enough, and I'm doing things for this, right? So this is an option, but it's the other option also to be like, okay, I feel like I'm not good enough, and I'm doing these things. Okay, good. I'll keep doing it because it doesn't matter.
Do you think you have the option?
Yes, I think you do.
Well, do you feel like you would act on that option? If your ass is just literally on fire and you're suffering away, that you would say, guess I'm gonna keep suffering then. Because the other option seems like it has the solution, but then at some point you realize that the doing more and running towards another thing is not the option. So you're coming full circle, you're coming back to where you were, but it's no longer this something is wrong with me and I need to do something about it. That was the first choice, right? For most people then. If the pain is great enough, then we're like, oh, I want to move. I see there is a way to move past that somehow. But then
I
we
see
come
it.
back again and we say, well, there was never anything wrong in the first place, but we had to go through it just to experience again and know that doing more is, again, not the answer.
Mhm.
And then it's like, now I can accept it for what it is.
Yeah, I think you do need to go to have this next experience, to be able to see the previous experience in a new way, for sure. But at the same time, I also feel like it doesn't mean you are going to come back here. I feel like you need to be constantly not reminding yourself, and not constantly. That's not the ideal word, but like to be able to also understand that whatever you are holding on to, when you start to see this new path, you need to drop that also. So for example, you are here and you see that there's a way for you to change that, right? And you go into the way, and you go into the way, and then there's an option for you to come back here to see things clearly, but you keep in that way. So you keep pushing that way, you keep pushing that way, and you go, and you'll never come back. You just never come back because you got so attached to that you can't detach yourself from that, and you keep suffering because you think you need to keep suffering to come back there.
But see, that poses the question, if we believe there are multiple lives, that this is not the only life, and that we almost suffer in what we go through. Well, this turns very esoterical, but imagine we live for as long until we've actually come full circle. And so if we don't measure our lives like that, and we say some people literally go until their death in a certain direction, thinking that more and more and more is the answer, externally trying to fill that void, and not ever realizing that. But then what we don't see is that there are going to be another 50 lives of that until they come to a point where there is a seed planted, whatever you want to call it, well, all of a sudden it's like, boom, more is not the answer. And it's like actually letting that go and then coming to and that's why I said you're coming back to right where you were, but it all looks very different now because there's no longer the egoical agenda behind it where you're trying to pursue something, right, more and more. And you've also already seen that just the dropping of it leads you back to where you already were.
So two things. I don't know if I want to say something. I'll just jump into it before I forget. Two things. I think now we get to a place where for me it's difficult to give my opinion because it goes to this more not subjective but more philosophical way of seeing life. So for example, I don't believe there's more than one life. So how can we argue if you believe there's more life? There's a next realm of discussion.
See, that's why we can't argue. That's why all we can do is sit still with what is and drop into that and then see what really is. Because
but let me just to finish. But the second thing is that I also see in this idea this attachment to something that you are doing because there's something coming at some point, either this life, the next life, or whatever it is. Like is this attachment to that I'm doing something right, that I'm doing something that is going to lead somewhere. I know what I'm doing, like this. It's getting somewhere. It's getting somewhere, which I also don't think is the most beneficial way of seeing it, because it comes back to what I'm saying. Like now instead of letting yourself come back, you push yourself even further and further and further and further. And like at some point, and maybe this is a projection because that's the way I see most of things that I've done in the past few years. Like I'm going this direction, I'm going this direction. Oh, this is not serving me anymore. I'm not seeing. This is not serving. I'm not having the daily experience that I wanted to have. and it's like, well, it's difficult to drop it. You know, I've been through all of this. I've done all of this. Can I drop it? It's like, you know, whatever, let's drop it. Boom. And then I came back and was like, wow, I'm so grateful that I went through that, but I don't need to go there anymore. You know, that's my experience. So yeah, so when you say that, I feel this hand like holding on to something that, okay, it's going to pay at some point. You know, that's the overall sense that I get from that.
Maybe it's not pay. I don't know about you guys. I feel there is an inherent drive, let's just call it, that we have to come back to the source, if you will, finding out the truth about all of this. And that is sort of our compass in all of this. And then we have to go, and it's so hard to even to interpret things in a truthful way because there's so much information lacking, so much knowledge that is really not there about what is going on. And then instead we cling to interpretations, misinterpretations, to some sort of notion, some sort of information that we've received that's completely off. And then we try to look at it through that lens and say, this is the payoff I'm going to get, so is that worth it? Is it not? But it's really like, right, there's this filter with which we look at the thing even, and that's completely skewed. That's not even the real thing. And so trusting not trusting what comes up with the mind, but this deeper, whatever you want to call it, calling, your heart, where that leads you, and being like, this is the right way. This is leading me more towards the full expression of what's really going on with this body, whatever it is, being okay with that, actually really relishing that, I feel. And then truly loving life, just like every little bit of it, no matter what it is.
But can't you do it right now? I mean, 1 second ago, but 1 second, 2 seconds ago.
Can you?
Or like,
are you able to just drop it all? I can't. I've experienced like it's not shit comes up. It's not a conscious decision that I say I want to fucking break out in sweat right now. Right? It just happens.
Yeah, it just happened right now. But what is the interpretation of that? The interpretation is still interpretation. You know. So this is. I'm not sure if this is going to answer that directly, but last call we had, right? I was in this place of detaching myself from my body that I experienced before, and it's not really nice. I have to say, I don't like that. And I remember going through that and being in this really nihilist place of, okay, I truly feel that there's no purpose in life. Like, I truly feel that. Like, I don't think there is for me specific, there's no place for me to go. There's just nothing, right? Like, there's no objective. And I remember being in this place a few months ago and being like, dude, there's no point in life. I'm gonna kill myself. There's just no place in life. There's just nothing to do here. What I'm doing here? You know, there's no purpose. And I was talking to Matthew and I was like, yeah, I remember being in this place. And I remember that also when I detach myself from my body, my objectives, things that I wanted in life, and I start to see that those objectives and those things were just stupid. There was no reason for that. Like, why I'm trying to be a filmmaker? This is stupid. You know, like there's no, what I'm going to get from that? Nothing, you know, nothing. And always like, oh, future objective, future. I was like, but yeah, okay, let me just stop for a second. But okay, there's no purpose for the future. There's no purpose for this, blah, 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 whatever. But right now, I'm happy. Right now, there's all this opportunity going on at this exact moment. You know, maybe in the end of my life, there will be no purpose at all. But right now, I'm here, I'm living, and I'm happy, and I can continue doing that, you know? So for me, like this nihilism became an openness to, wow, that's just now. That's what's going on. It's right now, you know. And right now I can choose to punch someone in the face, to dance, to try and do something crazy, to experience something new, you know. Well, does it matter for the future? Does it matter for the past? For me, no, you know. But that doesn't change the fact of whatever I can experience now is good enough. It's everything that I need, you
Well,
know.
if you can drop that, if that's why I said the practice, whatever you're doing, is gonna get you to a point where you feel like you can let it go. Because if you're so caught up in your mind, if your mind is telling you all these things that you need to be doing and you need to act a certain way so that people perceive you a certain way, and if you can't let that go, then it's going to be really hard to realize, yeah, this moment is really all that matters. That is your purpose, if you will. And to
But that
just,
you don't have a choice. That you don't have a choice to not be here. That's the thing. Whatever you were saying, it's not here anymore. Like it's here. It's still here. But you are deciding not to see it as here, you know. That's what I truly feel. It's like when you engage into that, you are engaging into that now, but you're still here, you're still living. Like everything that you're engaging now, you're engaging now, you know.
yes.
Like you're sweating and then like, oh, but I'm sweating, I'm not here anymore, I want to do this. Like no, wait, you're still here, you're still here, you're still happy, you're still yourself, you're still doing whatever you want to do. It's all good. It's all good.
But if you had that sense in that moment, or if you don't have that sense, right? Because for you, it almost sounded like there was a an ego detachment. There was no I really in this, because there was no future, there was no past really, there was no purpose of pursuing anything, right? And when you're so identified with the ego as like, I am this thing separate from all that, I need to do all these things, that may not change the fact that you are still in the now regardless of what you're doing, but you can't see, it's almost like you can't see that. You really, there's like a, it blocks that from coming in, the light from coming through the window.
But the idea that you can't and you need to, I think that's what's preventing. I think that's what's preventing you to truly experience that. It's like, oh, I'm here, but I need to be somewhere else, or I'm feeling this, but I need to start feeling something else. No, there's nothing else to feel. There's nowhere. There's no other place to go. This makes. I'll bring back the Zen retreat that we went, because that was like, that's when I truly understood that. Like first Zen retreat, it's like, I'm here, but I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I hate it. I hate this, man. I could be dancing. I could be in a club. I could be fucking a girl. Maybe fucking a girl. But I could be many other places, you know. But I'm here. I'm here in this. But then second Zen retreat is like, what? How can I not be here? You know? How can I not be here? Just like, this is it. Is there any other places that I could be right now? No.